Okay, so the next session is going to be taken by the amiable Mrs. Ezinne Nwazulu. She is the managing partner of 234Finance. Ezinne Nwazulu is a business development expert and managing partner at 234Finance.com, a digital ecosystem that promotes African entrepreneurship. Founded in 2013, 234Finance bridges the gap between investors and opportunities in Africa's emerging markets, focusing on capacity building, mentorship, and access to finance. Guided by core values of content, community, collaboration. Remember, I spoke about collaboration, capacity building, and capital. 234Finance provides entrepreneurs with tools to make informed business decisions and foster growth. Through the Mentor Matchup Challenge, Ezinne has hosted 6 annual mentorship. Amazing. Please let us celebrate her. 6 annual mentorship events, multiple masterclasses, and disbursed over $100,000 in grant. Wow, amazing. I think we can do better than that. She actively participates in events and trainings to inspire and support young entrepreneurs, sharing her expertise and knowledge. Ezinne approaches life and work with enthusiasm and gratitude, striving to make a positive impact on those around her. I think you can tell she's an amazing person. Please let us celebrate the managing partner of 234Finance, Mrs. Ezinne Nwazulu. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that kind and warm introduction. So next slide. Previous slide. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because we've already gone past way behind time. So I'll be teaching you on how to close deals in 2025. So I think the first part of this exercise was a great warm-up, to have your goals, your clarity, but execution is important as well. Next slide. So our mission is to promote African entrepreneurship through content, our 5 C's: content, collaboration, capacity building, community, and capital. And our vision is to empower African entrepreneurs by fostering a thriving ecosystem. Next slide. So this is just our traction. Next slide. So we're going to start with an icebreaker. So I want everyone to get up and stretch a little bit. I know it's afternoon. Maybe we're hungry now. Yes. And I want us to move around the room. I know it's tight, but let's move around the room and speak to someone you haven't spoken to since you came. Introduce yourself and just, engage. For our virtual audience, maybe we can use the chat box and just try and connect to 1 or 2 people virtually. So I'll give about 5 minutes for us to complete this exercise.
we are open to meeting everyone, including you.
Sorry, I'm just Oh, okay.
Second one is my WhatsApp number. You can just chat me up.
Maybe probably after, like a picture, probably just like internal publicity. Somebody else could do that if that's necessary, but I'm thinking that there's no time for that, so maybe probably next time.
You take a picture, no problem.
Alright, no
And we
problem.
can share official pictures. Please, let's round up. 3 minutes. So you hold.
I think that one.
Time up. Time up. Time up. So, with a show of hands, how many people know 5 things about the person, about one person you interacted with? Show of hands. 5 things, yes. 4. Okay, 3. Did you learn 3 things about the person you interacted with? Okay, so you can come here. Come on. Who else? Come on now. You guys can do better than this. You too? Okay. So did you learn at least 3 new things about the person you interacted with?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
Who else? You? You? Oh, now don't be shy. So the whole idea is closing deals, right? So we have to be very interactive here. Anyone else? You guys are the most active group. Okay. Okay, so please share the 3 things you learned about the person you spoke to.
Okay, I learned her name. Her name is Jennifer. She runs a restaurant too. There's one on Atikeja and there's another at Ojudu. So yeah, those are things I learned.
Okay, so we like to give treats
Okay.
to people that
Yay!
participate.
I'm on bounty. I'm
For
Maltesers.
those who do,
Thank
okay.
you.
So pass the mic.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rhoda. And I met Victor. I met a couple of people, but I'm just going to talk about Victor. So I met Victor. That's his name, obviously. And one interesting thing about him, he's an artist and he's also trying to transition into public speaking. And I asked what his niche was, and he defined it, sharing his personal story to motivate others. And I find that very interesting. So nice to meet you, Victor.
Great, great. So I see people are making very good connections in the room.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I met with 2 people, but I think I connected with her. Her name is Kiva. She is a medical doctor, right? But one very interesting thing about what she does is she's a medical doctor. Then she runs a company where they finance fertility.
Finance what?
Fertility.
Oh, okay.
So they like offer funding for people who want to, do IVFs and all. And I think that's awesome.
So I want to say something. There are potential collaborations in the room. And I think it's very, I'm going to go into it in a little bit when, my slides come up. But I think it's very interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what connections you make in the room, because there are people you could be strategically aligned with for collaboration.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Oluremi. I met with Sharifa, and I think so many people were with her, so I couldn't talk. But I met with Amida. She actually approached me. Then she was talking about when I spoke about my 2025 vision and all that. She gave me more idea and what I can do to help me remove the fear and everything. She's an entrepreneur, so she knows much about what I was talking about. So she just gave me more ideas of what to do, and we exchange our contacts to further catch up. Thank you.
Amazing. Slides. Next slide. So, we'll start with a quote, and we'll get right into it. The art of networking. Networking is the number one unwritten rule for success in business. Next slide. So what is the art of networking? It's not something that just happens by a fluke, right? It's something you have to be very intentional about. And what I've done with the slides is to give you practical steps that you can apply, quickly and in your day-to-day. And hopefully we'll be able to share these slides as well. So networking in the 21st century. So being authentic, I think even from the conversations here, we can see what authenticity is about, right? Showing up as your true self. Oh, sorry, that was the second slide. Okay, so building your personal brand. We're in the 21st century. There are so many tools. It's easier now more than ever to network. And networking by building your personal brand is how you show up and how you present yourself. And that is very important, because before you open your mouth to talk to anyone, they have to look at you, right? They say the eyes must eat first, right? So how you show up as your true, authentic self is very important. And not just how you show up physically, but online as well. What does your LinkedIn say? How do you present yourself on social media channels? How do you engage? All of those things attribute to building a personal brand. Build genuine relationships. This is so important. We have limited time here, and I don't imagine everyone is able to speak with everyone, but you're able to connect with at least one person on a deep and meaningful level. And I think that is very important for networking and, engaging with people that you have genuine interest in. I can't overemphasize that. Leverage technology. Invest in physical connections. One of the people that spoke on the virtual meeting talked about that you can't beat physical connections. I personally am always running all kinds of programs, reaching out to people to support us, and establishing those physical connections are important, because what you're not saying, right? Your body language is a way of communication, right? And when you're able to establish physical connections, you're able to access the energy and the vibe, and that would, help you get a sense of where that conversation is going. Consistency is very important. Strategy is very important. Networking isn't a touch and go thing. It's a long-term play. And when you keep showing up, people will take you seriously. Active listening is important as well, right? You listen to understand and to connect when you're networking. So it's really important. Next slide. So I talked about being authentic, showing up as your true self, and ensuring that whoever you're connecting with aligns with your values. I think this is something that cannot be overemphasized. Being present. When you're relating with people, how do you connect with them? Are you fiddling with your phone, or are you being distracted? Those little things matter. give. Oh my goodness, I could take a whole masterclass on this point. You know, we are in a very, oh, how do I put it now, cannibalistic society where, you know, we're trying to outsmart the other, or we're trying to see what we can get from the next person. Why don't you switch it up a bit and think about how you can give? How can you add value to the person you're connecting with? What value are you presenting to that person? And give doesn't necessarily mean, you know, giving something that is financial. It could be giving of your knowledge, giving of your time, giving of your resources. Build trust. Trust is not something that is given on a platter of gold. It is earned, and it takes time. And you'd see that these points that I'm sharing, they are all interlinked. Consistency, trust, giving, all of these things help towards building genuine connections. Quality over quantity. This is something that I practice when I attend events, and it's a very great hack, personally. And when I say quality over quantity is when you meet people at conferences and public forums, rather than trying to meet 10 people, why don't you just connect with one person and connect with that person on a very deep and meaningful level? Because to be frank, how many people can you really keep in touch with, right? So, but if you connect with one person at an event, you're able to stay in touch with that one person or two people and build a long-term relationship with. Leverage shared experiences. Storytelling, we see, has a way of bringing people together and getting people to connect, right? When someone shared a story earlier, somebody else connected with that story and shared something else. And I think that helps to organically build relationships. And please, if anyone has any questions, you know, you can just raise your hand and the mic will be passed along. Next slide, please. 10 basic networking etiquette. I think etiquette is very important because some people don't really know how to, and they don't know any better, to be honest. And that's why we, you know, curate programs like this to teach people how to go about it. When you're attending networking events or any, you know, forum that would give you access to people, it's very important to prepare. What does that look like? Can anyone give me an idea or share? What does it mean to prepare ahead of, you know, a networking opportunity or on the platform?
Maybe if you have like a brand you would like to get something for, you can come with visuals that will make it easy for whoever you're connecting with to be able to understand what you're saying, or have like a business card that you can give to someone, things that can make it easy for the person to remember you or to remember what you are talking about or sharing with them.
Okay.
I think it could also mean knowing how you want to introduce yourself, because that's something that I find if you've not maybe prepared how you want to say it, you just end up rambling without saying much.
Okay. Does anyone? One more person. Okay.
All right. For me, I would say looking up the speakers, like whoever that is coming, you know, get to see them. So for me, before coming here, I checked what Space Desk was all about, and I checked what their offerings and everything, and I also checked up the speaker as well. So that, and also what Kiva said about like an elevator pitch. How do you want to, you know, push yourself out there, your brand? How do you want to say it when you're interacting with someone?
Okay. So two more, and that's it.
Okay, so she basically just said what I was going to say, but in addition to that, I'm going to say that have an elevation speech, something that is going to catch the attention of whoever you're talking to about your brand.
One more person.
Okay, for me, I think looking good is also very important, the first impression. So it's not just about what you're going to say, but how you look, you know, dress properly, groom yourself, don't just appear, but look good so that whoever you're connecting with or networking with would be happy and willing to connect and network with you.
Okay, so there'll be more opportunities to interact. So I think you already touched on our second point, to make a positive first impression. And I think we're in Lagos. Lagos is about packaging and how you present yourself. And like I said, the eyes must eat first. So how you present yourself is very important. Be respectful of time. If, for example, you're at an event where there's a speaker and there's like a queue, let's be reasonable and give enough time for other people to engage with that one speaker. So I'll give an example of an experience that I had, very funny. So I'm not going to mention names, but there was a high net worth individual that I wanted to connect with, and I had met him somewhere else, but we didn't quite connect. And a friend of mine was hosting an event, and he happened to be one of the keynote speakers. So I was like, so how am I going to enter this man now? So what did I do? I walked up to him and I said, oh, hi, I was at your house in Houston when you did X, Y, and Z, right? And I connected, that was like an icebreaker, because he was like, who is this person that I've never met you? How come, it was just like, I knew that would get his attention. And I didn't try to be forward on that first encounter. And I, just introduced myself, talked about his session, how it was insightful and all of that. And what did I do? I knew that there would be an opportunity to meet him again at a different forum, which I did. And at that forum, I was able to connect on a deeper level, right? And I know what I want, but taking my time to connect with this person so it doesn't feel transactional, it doesn't feel rushed, and it's organic. And as I'm having those interactions, I'm also gauging. And that gauging is, okay, does this person also want to connect with me? Because it absolutely has to be a two-way street, right? When you're connecting with people, when you're engaging. And I think that is very important. So it's something that has to grow organically. It cannot come across as transactional. So why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing it to say that if there's someone you're trying to meet, you have to be very intentional and deliberate about the process. It's not a touch and go type of thing. So sticking on the etiquette part, don't dominate the conversation, right? You allow the person to share, because you'll be surprised that people have a lot to share once they're given that opportunity. Respect of personal space and cultural norms. Nigeria is a very diverse, if I were in a global world where there are all kinds of people from all walks in life, even when you're engaging virtually, we should be very mindful of these things, because that could make or mar the relationship that you're trying to build. Always be polite and professional. Even when we're on Instagram, we should be very mindful of how we carry ourselves, because you'll be surprised. People will remember, right? And you may have some opportunity in front, but because of some comment or how you presented yourself, even on social media platform, may, hinder an opportunity. Don't overcommit. Commit what you can do. And when you do commit, deliver on your commitment. And that's where building trust also comes in. Avoid distractions. When you're networking, build those connections on a very deeper and meaningful level. And be sure that whoever you're networking with, there's an alignment with that person. Exit conversations gracefully, and most importantly, follow up. Right? If there are people that you've met here and you want to connect with, like I said, quality over quantity. Get those connections and build that relationship over a period of time. Next. How to network with HNS. How many people have tried to network with HNS before? And what was the experience like?
Okay.
Please introduce yourself.
Okay, everybody, I'm Esther. So my experience is not actually very good. It was very embarrassing. I was passing by and I saw him, and he looked very thirsty, and I was holding a cold bottle of water. So I came up and I was like, oh, do you want one? And he was like, oh, thank you, and he took it. I was like, oh, what do you do? and I laughed. Yeah, that's what I was like. And he looked at me like, I don't understand. What is that? How you actually answered the question? I was like, no. I can't even think about it. It was very embarrassing anyway. I answered
So
later.
why do you think you laughed?
I don't know, really. Maybe I was shy or something, but what saved me was the water I gave him. So he just said,
You were adding value.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was like, next time, prepare. Like, that's what he told me, and that was it.
Does anyone else want to share?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ezekiel Yusuf. So my experience was with the Oni of Ife. This was in Transcorp in Abuja. So I was told he was going to be around for an event. It was the end of the year program organized by them. So I saw him from a distance. And everything inside of me was saying, don't try it. It's not going to work. He's not going to listen to you. He doesn't even know who you are. And so I eventually met with him, and all I could do was take a picture. And that was it. And the picture was not even next to him. You know, he was actually talking to someone else, and I took the picture this way, and then he left. And so the following year, at a governor's birthday in Kaduna, I saw him, and everything said, you're going to mess up again like you did the last time. Don't even think about it. So I stood up. And then the security detail, and there were other governors. The security detail and everything was so serious. And I remember my palm was sweating. I was sweating. But there was a part of me that said, no, you must not mess up this time. You must meet this guy and introduce yourself to him. And then I said to myself, how can I meet this man? And there is something about innovation. It doesn't happen when you're in a state of standing still. Innovation comes when you're in motion. And so I was thinking, how do I meet this man? And then I said to myself, I think the only way I can get his attention is to scream, KBC. And I walked a little bit because I was looking at all the security detail and their guns. And so that was all I screamed. And trust me, he turned around because, it would be rare for you to see someone in that area, greeting him that way. And he said, come, my son. And everything is history. And that was how I was able to meet with him. Thank you.
So you were watching him, basically. Does anyone else? Okay, I think there are two more people. Three.
Okay. My name is Victor Kelvin. I'm a portrait artist. So November 2023, I went to have breakfast at the George Hotel, Ikoyi. And when I was having breakfast, a man came and sat beside me. I asked him what was written on his cap. It was Lagos. I didn't see it well. It was Lagos. And then he asked me, what do I do? I told him I'm a portrait artist. And we got talking. Then I asked him, what does he do? He told me he's a politician, the chairman of Lagos Island. He's actually the son of Seriki. Well, luckily for me, fortunately for me, his father's birthday was coming up in a week. So he commissioned a portrait of $300 there and then. So I was happy I broke the ice by asking him what was written on his cap. So yes.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Marcos, but you can call me Abraham White. So because of what I do, I'm into destination events as a master of ceremonies, and I will share my experience with the one I had with Dr. Cosmos Maduka and Ejimi, the profitable investor. Yeah, investor, yes. You know him, right? Africa's #1 forex coach. So I will share the one with him, and I will leave the one of Dr. Cosmos Maduka. This one is virtually right. I've been wanting to connecting with him for like 4 years now, Ejimi. And just this year, over the 4 years, I never placed a demand on that relationship. I was always showing up at his event, his book. I got his book, and anytime he posts, I always communicate value and all of that, just providing value and communicating my interest in everything he was doing. Fast forward to last year, he followed me on Instagram, and 3 weeks ago, I celebrated him his, I don't know, maybe his 40th birthday, I can't remember. Then he made a statement. He said, Abraham White, I've been observing you for 4 years, and you've been honoring me and everything. You've never placed in demand on this relationship. And he said, whatever, how did you say it again? He just said, anything you want to do this year, I will support you, and anything you need, just place a demand on me, and I will do it. That's what he said.
Consistency. Okay. This is the last one, so that we can.
Hi, my name is Sibokon. I run a brand and a strategy agency. I had an opportunity to meet. I was working with the head of YouTube West Africa last year, and I had an opportunity to meet their head of product, which was someone I really wanted to meet. I've been wanting to meet her for a while. So unfortunately, she came into the country, and I was around, and then I went for the event, and I met her. And I'm someone that always have a pitch. I always know what I want to say. But when I met her, I think I was so scared. So I just started rambling. I was literally rambling, because when I think about it, it wasn't pretty. I was just saying so many things. And I think she knew, and then she just held me and like, are you okay? I'm like, and at that point I knew I couldn't say anything again. So I was just like, maybe next time. And the person that introduced me was like, she's not like this. She's very smart. She's not like this. I'm like, but I didn't know what to say, because I felt like I fucked up. 3 days after.
Language.
Sorry. 3 days after, I went on LinkedIn, and then I sent her a message reminding her about how I fucked up, how I messed up, and how I was rambling, and how I was sorry, and why I wanted to meet her. And she replied. And now I've done like 2 projects with her. So yeah.
Good job. Okay, so I'll just touch on some of the points, but I think they're very self-explanatory. So I think it's important to research, right? So going to point 1, how do you understand their interests and priorities? A lot of these HNIs are now visible on social media. And if you follow them, like Marcus said, you know what they are passionate about, what they are interested in. And that's the easiest way to connect with anyone, right? By focusing on what interests them and adding value to that thing that interests them. And already you have a talking point with that person. So that's important. Avoid being transactional. Lagos. It's very, very important. And what does this point mean? When you meet somebody and you're already trying to place a demand on that person, how about you grow a relationship organically that is mutually beneficial? It's always the sweet spot when you're able to give value and get value, right? Leverage common circles. I think this is important. There's this thing that they say, your 1 degree of separation. I believe there's nobody in this world that I want to meet that I don't know one person, at least one person that can connect me with that person. So if we actually look at, we're so connected than we actually realize. So it's always helpful when you're getting introduced to somebody that is already within that circle. It also adds the credibility, the trust, and all the other things. Engage in philanthropy and impact. I think that is so important. And, with HNIs, particularly the older ones, this is something that is very, it touches them. And a lot of these people have impact projects that they are currently, pushing. And we have skills. There's nobody that doesn't have something that they can give, right? So the best strategy would always be to offer a free service to, an impact project or philanthropy. For example, if you're an MC, you can offer to MC the event for free. If you're an event planner, you can offer to, plan the event for free. If you're a fashion designer, you can offer to give. There are just so many ways. And I've seen, even with church, that's the same strategy. You see that, people that volunteer in churches are able to get jobs on the back of that, volunteering experience. Is all people need is a platform. I talked about staying in touch and following up. Gatekeepers. This is something a lot of people don't understand, right? And who is a gatekeeper? I want to be sure that I have people that understand. Pass the mic.
One of the HNI's drivers.
Like the executive assistant as well.
They are the ones at the top of the food chain.
A
At the
gatekeeper?
top of the food chain.
They are the one on the lower chain, like their house help, their driver, their doctor, gatekeepers, pet keepers, like the vet doctor, or someone, their dry cleaner, someone that you might not direct, but one way or the other, you just connect with those people and you can get IT network.
Okay, gatekeepers are individuals with extraordinary feet in an industry, and they've been there for a very, very long time. That for individuals to come into that space, most times you have to consult with them and get their opinion before you join in.
Okay, so I'll give an example of a gatekeeper. You're trying to get a contract with, I don't know, what's the big company? Seplat, right? And you don't have any contact in Seplat, but you keep showing up at Seplat head office with the hope that one day something will open up, right? And each time you come, you drop 1K for the security guard, greet him well, go your way, and you do that consistently for a month, and you exchange pleasantries, and one day he says, Oga, what do you find for here, Seth? Give me your number. What are you looking for? Who are you trying? Oh, I'm trying to meet the head of procurement because I have this service. What's be the person's name? Of course, you've done your research because this is a space that you're trying to get into. He's like, that's my Oga now. Don't worry. I'll tell you when to come. He's traveled. And on one random day, your phone rings and it's like, come now. Oga is around, though. And somehow the guy knows the Oga's entire itinerary. And because of that security man's relationship with that Oga, he's able to take you directly to the man's office and have broken all types of protocols to get you that access, right? A gatekeeper can just be about anybody. The least obvious person, and I can tell you so many stories of how gatekeepers can either let you access a building, a space, or deny access, and it all goes down to your attitude and even recognition of that person. So this is also something that we should keep in mind when interacting with people, because anybody could give you any type of access. So let's keep that in mind. And the thing with HNIs is people, especially the older people, they have that cook that has worked with them for 18 years, 20 years. They have that driver that has been driving them, that they literally depend on for everything. So the people that you're ignoring, or you feel, I beg, who is this? Those are the people that can literally open or close the door against you. Please, the next slide. Are we learning something here? Yes. Okay, I'm just checking. So how do you network with your peers? I preach this, right? Networking isn't just about bottom-up approach. You have to network sideways, right? You have to network sideways, and it's an intentional and deliberate effort. Right now, I'd say I'm a millennial, self-glorified millennial. And, I know people that I've been friends with for the past 10 years, right? And when we were all starting businesses around the same time, and we've all maintained mutual respect, mutual understanding, supporting each other. And one day, one of us gets appointed for a role or gets, picked to work in presidency. Who do you think they're going to call? Exactly. Right? So I think this is very important. As we're all growing, there was something two ladies said at the back about how they are in the same community and they didn't even realize what the other person was doing. And when they had to do some activity, they realized, oh, wow, this is what this person is doing. This is how far this person has gone. And I'm sure you're calculating, how can I key into the growth of this person, right? And this platform, this room, you'll be shocked by the time you start engaging with people, what people are getting up to, right? So it's very important to maintain and sustain that relationship with your peers. And how do you do that? Mutual respect is very important. You don't want to engage with someone that you feel does not respect you. So it's very key to have mutual respect and engaging in shared activities, right? What piques your interest? What makes people friends is alignment of goals, alignment of values. If I look around my peers or the people that I'm in constant engagement with, I would see that there's a consistency and an alignment in value. So what that in values, and what that means is that when I reach out to the person or to the people and say, oh, I want to do this, they connect to it. I don't have to convince, because we all understand, why that thing is important. Leveraging social media, digital communities. There are people that I'm sure you're friends with, but you've never met them in person, but you've stayed in touch with them either on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on WhatsApp communities. So I think it's very important for people to connect based on shared activities and shared values. Reciprocate. Friendship, to me, friendship is sweet when it's give and take, right? When someone is just taking, that's not a friend, that's a parasite. I'm sorry, right? So don't be a parasite and avoid parasites. So I think when you reciprocate, it just makes the relationship to blossom. It makes it beautiful, right? So I think that's something that should be practiced when you effectively want to network with your peers. Stay in touch. Celebrate successes, right? If people love to be celebrated. So if your friend is having an event, your friend is launching a book, opening a company, opening a foundation, show up and be present. It's very important. And over time, you'd see that, that friend would keep inviting you to things and opportunities will open up for you. But you're not doing it because of what you want to get out of it. It's because you want to do it and you want to keep nurturing that relationship. So mentoring, I keep saying mentoring. Networking with your peers is people growing, together towards the same direction. And it's a very long-term play. The idea of networking is long-term, is not transactional if you want to reap the rewards of effective networking. And be consistent. And that's why I said before, quality over quantity, right? And, network with people that are aligned with your values, because then it becomes easier to just be their friend and to stay in touch and, to try to do things together. Please, next slide. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so this question is specific to me. I don't know if it's useful for somebody else. So I noticed that I connect with someone and then follow up, the person is cold. It's happened visually, it's happened physically. I try not to tell myself that it's because of who I am, but sometimes it looks that way. I mean, I was in 2023 January, I got an award from Business Day, 100 fastest growing businesses in Nigeria. And I was the only person dressed this way. And I connected with quite a number of people, opportunities, and then I just noticed afterwards, nothing. The same thing has happened virtually. I win some, I lose some, but the ones I lose are more, it's kind of like hard. What do I do?
So I think that can be very hurtful when you get that sort of feedback or that sort of response. But ultimately, we have to move on, right? And it's important to know who your people are. Because even in the midst of, having that initial point of connection and losing that connection, it's not within your control. And that's why I've put my slides the way I have. It has to be mutual, right? If it's not mutual, then there's an imbalance in that relationship and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel nice. It's uncomfortable.
Program or show, okay, where I invite celebrities and influencers to my kitchen studio, right? And then when I first message and pitch what I do, they're like, oh, this is nice. I would love to connect with you. I would love to do this. And then they go silent. What I think is that they go to my page, they see I'm on my page like this, they see it and they're not interested again. The ones that have had better connections with are, funny enough, they are not Nigerians. People from the US, from Britain, I've had quite a number of that. But with the Nigeria audience, it's very difficult. Majorly more with females. With male too, but more with females. So, what
Maybe something about you reminds them of or makes them feel uncomfortable about themselves. So it's not about you, right? And I think it's very important to know your audience. If you know the people you connect with, focus on those people and keep building and flourishing that relationship. And the thing with social media, it's like a double-edged sword. People like the idea of you, but maybe not you when they really get to know the real you, right? So you need to also find how to set boundaries and protect yourself from people who just like the idea of, oh, I'm meeting this person because she's popular, as opposed to, oh, I really want to connect with this person on a deeper and a more meaningful level. So I think it's very important to just, going forward, so you protect yourself from that hurt, and maybe even have, an EA or somebody who is doing that follow-up, because also perception is everything, right? So if you're reaching out to someone yourself, it may seem to that person like, oh, she's not as big as she appears to be, as opposed to having an EA who is designated to do that follow-up. Is also something that I've had to learn as well, right, in dealing with people. And why are you following up? Is it to close a business deal, a transaction, or a sale? If that is the reason, then you shouldn't even take it so personally at the end of the day, because you're doing business and you're selling a product, right? And because it's your brand, so I understand the sensitivity and the emotions that comes with trying to connect with someone and getting that sort of, response. But have someone assigned to that role, because there's no emotion. They're doing their job. They're getting paid for it, right? And don't have to do that follow-up by yourself, and connect with people that genuinely want to connect with you as well. So next slide. So does anyone have any questions, comments? Someone over here.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I've heard your names, please, the lady's name. Your name, please, madam. Huh? Sherifat, right? So I will give you 2 big escape routes to those things you're doing. So you should understand that the social media is controlled by a button, right? When you meet people the first time, it's an open valley. We are all here now. When people go out, they might have emergencies, they might be in their different moods. As at now, we are in this space. The 2 things I will tell you that should make you knock off, like you just said, is when you meet people, expect 0. Expect 0 first. You see, it's better being chased than the one chasing the person, except you have value that they need to find you for. Madam Ezinne is a good instance. I joined Mental Match. I started coming to Mental Match 2 years ago. And through one of our very good friend, Akintunde Mario. I saw Mario's flyer on the page and I came through. Akintunde Mario is not here, right? But I'm here. Connect the fact that you are doing a brand species. Now, trim it down to who am I selling to? And you have to do one more thing. Try to always differentiate the business from the personality. If your page has the same layer that you have now on the page, you're going to have a lot of conflict of interest. Do you get? If you have the page as a business page, see, if I want something, I'll buy it. I don't care who sells it. I like Amala a lot, for instance. The best Amala is not in Lagos, it's in Ibadan. Amala Sky. I'm going somewhere. No, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. Be able to de-emotionalize your business sentiment. That's going to get a problem. Because people can say they like you, 1,000 likes on page, and you have 200 comments. Does that tell you how life is? Nobody really likes you. Try. In this new phase of 2025, I did it work for me. I came here, I took my boarding plans properly, and I accelerated over 100 times the value. Because you have to disconnect your personality from the business. When you bring that to spare, that's where passion turns to issue, which is paying. You can really say you like this person, you look up to them. Great. Structure it. I joined this community like 2 years ago. I've been attending for about 15 years. It's harder to reach me now than before. It's harder. When I leave here, you can check me up, but you can't see me. Now, coming to mentor match programs, I now get paid to talk. I got paid to do meetings because the passion was one side. The business came in. So, as a robot that social media is, you should understand that if they don't follow up now, they will follow up when the value becomes big. Everybody likes success, either you like it or not. The now that you are cooking it is your business time. But try, I beg you. I've heard you talk over and over, and I have to just say this now. Draw that borderline. It's 2025. If I tell you my team on my head, it's going to make you laugh. I showed him. This year is my year of no bullshit at all. Draw the lines. It will help you a lot because emotions won't give you money. But professionalism will give you money. That's why when the footballers lose, they still go to club and party. Do you get? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, my own question is, how do you even identify HNIs? So you go for an event or you're in church or in a program, and so let me give us my example. My industry, I'm an event planner, and I've said that this year I want to do more events for HNIs and all, but I just work into the mall, cinema, church program. How do I even identify this person standing is actually an HN? Not knowing that it's not like I'm going there intentionally to want to go and look for business, but I'm just in a gathering. How do we actually identify this person is an HNI? Thank you.
So there's a very easy answer to that question. Research, right? You have to research your audience, and there's a term or a phrase called target marketing. It's very important. You can't be shooting your shots aimlessly, right? It has to be well curated. HNIs are everywhere, and some are actually unassuming, to be honest, right? And the easiest way to get access to them, think about your immediate and extended community. In Lagos, there's so many events, they're so free or paid or there's so many forums that even in this room, there are HNIs, whether you believe it or not, right? But you have to have genuine interest in people to be able to discover them. There was someone I met recently, last year when I was planning my event, the most unassuming young man ever, right? And how did I meet him? I'll tell you a story. So I went to visit someone in my industry. So I'm in the energy industry. I went to visit one of our regulators. There's always accusing me, isn't it? You don't come and see me when I'm in Lagos, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, let me drag myself. I had zero expectation. It was just, let me just go say hello to this man. And lo and behold, there were two gentlemen waiting to see him, very unassuming, individuals. And of course, I was pitching to him to speak at my event, this regulator of mine, because he's quite knowledgeable. And I'm like, please, I want you to speak, and I'm also looking for sponsorship. I was just, I'm always shooting my shots, but not aimless. And that day, I followed him to the pool area. It was at Echo Hotel, where these two gentlemen came to see him. And jokingly, he introduced me that she's having an event, so please support her, just like that. And then, there was one of the gentlemen that I had a better connection with, because this thing is not something that is forced, it's effortless and it's mutual. I like to say this word, mutual, right? And within 2 weeks, I closed both as sponsors from zero. They were not even in my in my list, right? And one of them I'm in touch with like almost every day. The other, not so much, right? So that's just life. And when you connect with people, I'm always looking at connecting with people on a deeper and meaningful level. It can never be on the surface. And when you connect with people deeply and meaningfully, they start sharing things with you. And from them sharing those things, you start finding where those opportunities are. So I think, even in the unlikely places, it shouldn't be something that should feel far-reaching. What communities are you part of? Are you part of a church community, a fellowship? Are you learning something and you're in a WhatsApp group? You'll be surprised. But I think the whole idea of why I told this story is to have genuine interest in people and uncover things from those interactions. It could even be somebody, a gatekeeper, who connects you to an opportunity because they know about that opportunity. So it's not always all about meeting HNIs. There are unassuming people that would open a door. And, those people are everywhere around you. You just need to, look around and be willing to give. Be willing to do things free, especially when you're starting out, right? Excellence is very important across board. And when people, we're in a country where a lot of people are not excellent in how they execute their functions. There was one lady, I can't remember her name now. She's very popular on Instagram, and she was talking about how it's so important to, come to in Nigeria to do something and stand out immediately because there's so many people that just don't have that excellence traits in them. And she gave an example of how she was trying to buy a property, and she had an appointment. You know what I'm talking about. She had an appointment scheduled for 9 o'clock. Then, like 8:30, the person she was trying to buy the property from called her and canceled. Meanwhile, she was already waiting for the person, right? So imagine you're that person that shows up and gives excellent service. So can you imagine if you did something free and you appeal to the audience that you're looking for, but you just do something free? And I'll give an example of somebody here. I don't want to make her shy. That has been trying to, you'll tell now because she's looking shy now. She's been trying to get my attention for a while, since last year. And we're in the middle of planning this event. And she was like, you know what? I can anchor your event. I'm like, really? We don't have budget. So she was like, yes, I'll do it for free. Guess what? She has my intention. And I'm taking her out later tonight. Yes. So, be willing to give without any expectation, right? Some you catch something, some you may not, and it's also okay, right? So next slide. So how to network at events? We're at an event right now, so please, if you've not done some of these, you still have maybe another 30 minutes to put this into practice. So I talked about preparing in advance earlier. Arrive early, please be approachable, smile. That's why we're here. The topic is securing deals and, getting things done. If you're in business, you have to be friendly. It's annoying, like when you're, especially when you're in a customer-facing business that you have to interact with people so much. You have to just be approachable, even when you don't feel like it. Very tactful about how you start conversations, even when you're introducing yourself, right? Always, I'm always selling myself, even when I'm not thinking about it. And you'll be surprised, when you're starting conversations, someone just might pick an interest in something that you do. Quality over quantity. I said it before. Navigate group dynamics. It can be, sometimes it's tricky and it can be awkward. Networking itself can be awkward, right? Maybe there's a group that you're trying to break into. You have to be very wise and patient and look for when you have a moment. Because sometimes you'll try to break into groups and it just looks like, who is this one? It's rude, it's pushy. So we have to apply wisdom and etiquette when we're networking. Take notes, be professional, be polite, attend post-event gatherings. I'm sure that, some of you have things planned out for after this event or for the weekend. Connect with people. Show up. It's very important, and follow up. Next slide, please. Attracting, I keep saying networking and mentorship. It's like the mentorship is inside me. So our quote is, mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction, by John C. Crosby. Next slide. So this is a picture from one of our events. So how do you identify the right mentors? First of all, you need to understand, what are you looking out of from this mentor, right? What are your needs? What are the areas that you're struggling with and you need to connect with? What is the expertise that you're lacking and you need some sort of guidance on that expertise? I'm just going to run through it quickly and I'll give an example in my own personal journey. What is their leadership style like? What are their values? Do these things align with my own goals and my own values? Are we even compatible? Very important. How is it like interacting with this person? How do I see if the person is even interested in mentoring me? How many mentors do I even need? Do I want to just have one mentor? Do I surround myself with multiple people that can impact my life? And who are even the type of mentors I should be looking out for? Who is even in your network, right? You'll be surprised. There's something I always say to myself, even myself, that what I'm looking for in Sokoto is in my Sokoto. It happens to me so many times. I'm trying to connect with somebody. I'm trying to go far, and I'm like, there's just maybe one person that is even happy to help, or someone that I've done a favor for, and they're looking for how they can even reciprocate. And I'm just not even, calm enough to think that, these people are in my network. And what are your instincts telling you? So I'll share 2 stories. So in 2020, believe it or not, I started running gas stations, right? With zero oil and gas experience. When I say zero, like zero, right? And if anyone knows anything about retail stations, like an Agbero kind of business, you're dealing with all kinds of people. And at the station, audience, like customers were like bus drivers, Okada men, keke, that was my play. And I didn't know anything about running gas stations. And I started with the first station during COVID in 2020, and we're on our way to 50 stations now with zero knowledge about this business. And how did I survive? Mentorship was a very key part of my journey, right? So what did I do when I found myself in this situation? Because I found myself in this situation. It was not something I had planned to do, but somehow I found myself running stations. I started making friends with people that have run stations, right? And I was picking their brain. And that helped me. And, I was managing people that were more knowledgeable than me. They were reporting to me, and I was their boss. And these people had 10 years, 20 years. It takes a lot of humility to understand that, okay, I don't know this thing and I want to learn, right? So mentorship was a huge part of that. And, I look back and they're like, Ezinne, you're the retail expert. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know retail. But I didn't look down on anyone. And when we say mentor doesn't necessarily mean HNI in that sense. You have to open yourself up to learn from anyone that has something that can add value to you. So I found myself being mentored by people by pump attendants, by station managers, and just, having a genuine interest to understand, and get what I needed to get at that time and season. I don't run stations anymore, but, being willing to learn, being willing to follow up, and you find that people want to share what they know, right? So it can feel transactional, and you also have to give. So I think, with mentorship, it's very important to identify people that are happy to help you, and you don't have to go so far, right? There are people that have the relevant expertise, even though you don't think they're mentor figures or you don't consider them mentor figures. It also takes a lot of humility to identify people that have value or can teach you something that you do not know or can help you improve on yourself. So I think if you take all of these steps, it would help you in identifying the right mentors. Because of time, I won't go into the second one. So how do you attract the right mentors? You need to be very clear about what you're trying to achieve, about your needs and your goals. You need to build genuine connection before asking, right? Does this person even, you have to find a way to gauge that relationship, because mentorship is a two-way street. You can't force mentorship, and that's why we're so passionate about the mentor matchup. By God's grace, we'll host our 7th edition this year. And because it can be a very difficult thing, right? And that's why we are very intentional about curating that space where a mentor figure knows that this is the work I'm coming to do in this space, to mentor people. But when you don't have that sort of platform, you have to find a way to engage somebody and see if that person wants to engage with you as well. Respecting boundaries is very important, right? And if you're sensitive enough, you would know when you're overstepping. And when you realize you're overstepping, you need to retrace your steps, because if you don't respect boundaries, then you're going to lose that access. You understand? So I think it's very important. And, some common etiquette. If someone invites you, I want to use this example because we don't know how to do this thing in Lagos. If someone you have access to invite you to an event, don't go and bring 4 extra people, right? Because they're going to take note of that. So it's in the little things, whatever boundaries mean to whoever you're dealing with, you need to be very mindful of that, especially when you're dealing with HNIs. You have to be consistent. It's not just about taking, it's also about giving, about adding value, because everybody needs something. There's this thing we have in our mind that big people don't have problems. Everybody has problems that they're dealing with, right? And when you have a close enough relationship, people will open up. So always look for those little opportunities to add value. And when people like value, big or small, and when you're able to add value, you would see that, people naturally would open themselves up to you. So always look at mentorship, networking as a medium for giving and sharing, and you'd see that it will come back to you many folds back. Research your potential mentors, and your mentor doesn't have to be like a physical mentor. I have someone that says, Richard Branson is a mentor to him, because there are a lot of things that Richard Branson has done that embodies his own personal journey, and he's like a virtual, distant mentor, right? So research people that you identify with. I'm sure you follow your mentors on social media and you connect with them. Like Marcus, his story, that was a brilliant one. So you have to know who you're dealing with, so that if you have an opportunity to meet that person, you're talking and connecting with that person on something that they've done or they've achieved, and that's an instant icebreaker. You have to demonstrate your value. Especially with people who have all kinds of people coming at them, what would make you stand out? That's something you need to think about. Why would this person want to interact with you or continue to interact with you? So you should think of what value you have to give. Also be open to different mentorship models. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be someone you respect from a distance. If you're able to connect with them in person, fine. If not, you can connect virtually. And you have to be patient and persistent. You have to absolutely play the long game. One day, something will happen, right? But you're not doing it because that thing must happen, right? So you surround yourself with people that you can learn from. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, something else will happen for you. Please, next slide. So we're getting to the end of this. So, of course, what use is all of this goal setting, networking, mentorship, if you're not able to secure leads, right, or close deals? So what are goals? Goals are for people who care about winning once. Systems are for people who care about winning repeatedly. That's our quote, and I'll explain that in detail later. Next slide. So how do you close deals? There's something I don't know if I'm the one that invented it, but that's what I call it. I call it the 6 months rule. What is the 6 months rule? To me, the 6 months rule is, if I need something from Union Bank in July, I've started buttering them up in December. That's what the 6 months rule is to me. So what does that mean? If you identify an individual or a company that you need something from, you have to nurture that relationship consistently over a 6 month period. And trust me, it works all the time. There are relationships that, I have access to. I don't even know what I want from that person, but I know that in 6 months, I'm going to figure it out, right? And I build that connection. I may not be in touch every day, but I'm not too far away from the person. And that's how you build organic connections. So even with your leads, right, for those who sell on social media, how are you actively engaging your community and making sure there's some value, whether it is through content marketing or education or something? If you're trying to launch a product in 6 months, what type of content are you building around that product that you know the minute you drop it like this is going off the shelves like hotcake. So we should try as much as possible. I mean, we're in a world where community is, you know, I'm talking from the individual part and, you know, the business angle. Community is very important, and we see it work, you know, in different spaces. So I think, you know, having that community, build it, and as I'm telling you, we're also talking to ourselves as well. So I think it's important. Offer personalized solutions to your audience. You cannot approach life or approach people or approach prospects with a one-size-fits-all, right? When we had our little group, I was given an example of when we were trying to raise sponsorship and sell tickets for our events, right? And I was saying to them that when in our sponsorship package, we have the one for corporate. So we start from the most difficult, maybe the highest amount. If you say, no, I must leave with something, right? And I'll keep going till I get you to where, okay, this is something that works, but I close something. So when you're approaching clients or, you know, customers, you have to understand who your audience are and segment them so that you're not selling the wrong solution to someone that is not interested. Because there is always a market for anything, any product or any service you're selling, but there has to be innovation and artistry in how you go about selling it, right? And I'm using this as an example because what we do with the mentor matchup, it comes across as, oh, is this CSR? You know, it's a very difficult thing to sell, is the point that I'm making. And, you know, it's like a mismatch. So the people that we're curating the mentorship program for may not afford to pay for the program, but it's a paid program. So what did we do? We started selling it to people, maybe they don't need mentorship, but they have money to now sponsor people to attend, right? Either way, bills are being taken care of. So it's very important to understand your target audience, and if you're doing impact work or if you're selling a service, find people that those initiatives align with their personal values, and, you know, they get fulfillment for doing something that is close to their heart, and you get fulfillment by, you know, generating some sort of revenue. Use effective communication. It's very important to be clear with your ask, right? Especially when you're talking to someone that has interest in what you're selling or the service you're providing. So be very clear, you know, and prepare. When you do your research, prepare and understand your audience. There has to be a sense of urgency, you know, and that's why for some products, I'll do products and services. So for products, you know, you can create a sense of urgency. Okay, you get, you know, 20% discount if you pay by so there has to be like a deadline. It can't be open-ended if you want to close it. And for services, you can also apply the same sort of strategy and make them understand that if they are not part of this, there's something they are losing by not being part of it. There has to be a sense of, oh my gosh, FOMO, if you know, and you have to be very strategic in how you close deals. You also have to be flexible in your service offering, right? It's not always all about maximizing profit. Sometimes, you know, you're in the stage of your business that you're trying to have a proof of concept, or you're trying to sustain something. So with this event, there was a community that I had access to, and I said, you know what, we're giving 20% discount for, you know, to attend this event because if you're bringing X amount of people, and it worked, right? So you can't be set in stone. You have to be flexible when dealing with people. And Nigeria is a country where people must prize you. They must, you know. So when people say that, okay, you make your customer feel like they're in control. But you know what the end game is, right? But if you're set in your way, it just feels, this person is too rigid, and maybe they don't even want my business that badly. So there has to be some flexibility when you're trying to close deals. You have to follow up strategically. Right, so I would use her story, Sharifat, right, as an example. Like AK said, you remove the person from the business, If you feel like you can't handle that kind of feedback, you have someone do it, and there has to be periodic follow-up. So me, I use reminders. I don't know how many of you have reminders, but I always have reminders. Because, and people can be funny, especially if you're dealing with you're like selling a service like us, we sell sponsorship packages. They will not outrightly tell you no. But in my head, as long as you've not told me no, there is hope, and I'll keep chasing. But I'll time it, right? So when you're applying the 6 months rule, and periodically, you have to be very technical about it and remove sentiments, emotions, till you get what you want. As long as somebody has not said no to me, I'm going to keep following up. But you have to be persistent and patient in how you follow up. Be very clear on what you're asking about. Don't beat around the bush. And I feel with women especially, I think our culture has made us like that. Unfortunately, I've been delivered from that, being in a male-dominated industry. If I'm almost too direct, no chills. So I think you have to be very clear. Don't beat around the bush. If you see a lady that you think, let me use Hamidat as an example. If Hamidat sees someone that she thinks, this person, I can convert her, don't go complimenting her. Compliment her, but also sell the service that you have, because you've identified that this is a potential target client for me. So you have to be very clear. But, doing your research also helps, because you already know what the person needs, and it's like a match made in heaven. Create a win-win scenario, right? Let whoever you're selling to see value in what you're doing. And them showing them value isn't just pushing your product, but showing how your product or your service can positively impact their lives. I think that is very important. Of course, you have to be patient and persistent, and you should learn from the process. I think this is very important, and it ties back. Can you go back to that quote? It ties back to the quote about systems and structures, right? There are things that we've done in our organization, and we know that this thing 100% works. You have to document it. This thing works, and we're going to just we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It works, so we're going to keep it as it is. And if something doesn't work, why did it not work? Why did it not convert, right? You document that, and you reflect on it, and you figure out, okay, what can I do differently next time? And if you get it right, then you have to also document that process. And this is important across board for anything that you're building, anything that you're scaling, documenting and creating a system and structure, SOP. This is a whole different topic. But winning is about doing things correctly, repeatedly. And that's how you achieve scale, right? So next slide. I think we're at the end of... Okay, so I have an activity for us. Are you able to type on that thing? So this is a case study, and I want us to... We're almost at the end, don't worry. I want us to participate. So I don't think the event people are allowed to participate in this one. No. You have to sit this one out. So a recently launched event management company based in Lagos that specializes in corporate events, weddings, and product launches. Despite having creative concept and experienced personnel, the company struggles to secure high-value clients. So what challenges? This is an interactive session. Who has the mic? Okay, Grace. So who wants to take a dig at this? What challenges do you think this event management company is having?
Okay. I think they are not putting themselves out there very well.
Visibility?
Yeah, the visibility is very poor.
Okay.
Price points. Their pricing strategy might not be ideal because they have great concepts, but again, a company might be looking for something simple and cost effective.
Okay. I think one more.
You mentioned something about personalized solutions. Maybe they are not personalizing the solution, the event, the high value clients ones.
Sorry.
I feel they are not targeting the right audience. Definitely.
You know, there's an example you used about the person that by 9 o'clock they were supposed to have a service, by 8:30 the person cancelled. So it's possible that with the clients they currently have, the services that, they might be experienced and be creative, but they might not be disciplined enough or have that kind of thing that will make someone recommend them.
Hello. I think that maybe they're also not branding themselves in a way that high value clients want to associate with their brand. Because if you're branding yourself as a low brand, I don't want to associate with you. So probably that's a problem for them.
Yeah, I think something that could also be a challenge is location, where they are currently located, and the people they network with as well.
When you meet high-value clients, I think one of the first things they do is to look at you and try to weigh you.
Size you up?
Yes. If you can handle what they are ready to give you.
Okay.
So you need to be able to like put yourself out, position yourself in the right way.
Package.
They may not have a documentation of past records. Maybe they've not
Data.
done something.
Very valid. So what strategies do you think this event procreation should be implementing?
Okay, so I think one of the first things they need to focus on is, firstly, they need to understand why they are positioning for high-value clients, and then determine how they want to position themselves for those high-value clients to see them and then perceive them as the right people that they are reaching out to or the right people that they are communicating with. That is the main thing. So it's like you need brand strategy. If you're trying to focus on high-value clients, brand strategy might probably be the foundational structure that you need to put in place to get to the next, to get to them and to get them to see you. So one of those things would be your messaging. How do you communicate yourself? So verbal identity is...
This is expo because you're...
Oh, sorry.
I'll just allow you small.
All right.
Great point.
For me, strategies to implement, firstly on visibility, brand visibility, put themselves out more on social media. Then next is amplification of those events. So they go for big events and they get their social media managers to take videos, their videographers to take videos. Then from there, they could create sponsored posts where people get to see it, and they will also target the high-value clients.
We have 2 people. Let's try and wrap up.
I forgot to mention a point. Don't seem desperate. They can sense it.
Smell it.
Yes.
I know we're tired and hungry. Don't worry. Lunch is
all right.
lunch
So
is
what I'm
ready.
saying, in terms of the strategies to implement, the problem there is that they're not able to secure high-value clients. I would work with the assumption that they have some clients that they work with. So I think something they have to implement is to be intentional about how they want to reach those clients and have a holistic approach to it. From pricing, which is what he said, but beyond just having a cost-effective approach, maybe you can have a higher price point that can speak to those clients, and just have a whole approach. If it means having maybe a different brand, let's say it is the normal brand, and then maybe like a pro or something like that, just to give that clarity that okay, this is a premium service, different from the regular service that they offer, so they can attract those clients that they're looking for.
Okay, so I think also their pricing is also very important. They can review their pricing, because when it comes to getting high value client, luxury is something they crave a lot. And I think the issue of Rolex had to create another brand for their low customers too, so the other high value clients could still remain on that level and assume that.
Take the last person.
So for me, I think delivering excellently should be their core value, because referral is the soul of every business. So when they deliver very well, other people will refer them to their friends and families, and that works. Because event planning industry, referral is the soul.
So what results do you think if they implement the strategy, what results do you think they'll get?
They'll get more client base, and then the visibility will be more to and referrals.
So I think when we think about the results, the issue is that they are struggling to secure high-value clients. And I think it all boils down to how they are communicating with the people that they are reaching out to in the first place. So I think one of the major results would be they are now able to properly articulate what they are doing, who they are doing it for, and how they are doing it. So yeah.
Okay. So next slide. So let's see if any of the things you shared. Okay. So the challenges: limited brand recognition, that was mentioned, budget constraints, trust issues, unclear target market, low social media presence. So HNIs are a niche audience. They're the 1%, right? So they have to be very targeted in how they're marketing, build portfolio building, and that takes me back to offering free services, right? And documenting the free. There's no one that would see something that is nice and won't mind, getting value for it at no cost. So even the free services that this event management company is offering is part of their portfolio. Networking, strategic partnerships are very important. I already see some alignment in the room with someone that is an MC who gets jobs and an event planner and someone that has a food business, right? So embedding yourself in the right network of people who offer complementary services will also help. Digital marketing is very important, showcasing your work, your successes. Personalized client engagement, really understanding it can't be, especially with HNIs, it can't be a one-size-fits-all, right? So you need to pay attention, active listening, hear what your client or your intending client needs and what is most important to them in terms of, the event management and offering those solutions to them. Create structure, systems, and processes, right? If you do something and it works, you need to document the end-to-end with timelines, because event management is project management, really, at its core, right? And having that systems, structures, and processes is important. If you have a vision, how do you distill that vision down to everybody that is on the team and everybody has that same shared value? And the result will be increased client base, repeat business. I think repeat business is like 80% of most people's businesses, right? When you have clients coming back. And we're in a society where word of mouth is like the strongest form of advertising, and it could make or mar you. So if you do an event and you execute it in a very rubbish way, then it's going to come back and bite you because you'll get negative review, right? And if you make mistakes, make an effort to correct those mistakes and fail forward. Of course, you'll get revenue growth, improved brand recognition, sustained growth. And most importantly, you should be passionate about what you're doing, and there should be excellence in every single thing in your delivery, whether it's something you're offering free of charge or something you're paying for. But let excellence be tied to you or to your brand. And I think with that, the success is yours. So I think, next slide, I think this brings us to the close. Oh, you have a question. Yes. Yeah, I can take some questions, actually.
Hi, I think there's a thin line between offering free service and being trampled on. The question is, how do you draw that line? There are some HNIs that they're offering free service, I'll take free service, and they continue, and you, because you want access or there's something you want to get in return in future, you keep offering this free service. And how do you get to that point where this thing might never happen and you keep offering this free service. I just want to know, how do you draw the line?
So I think it's important to draw boundaries. I think I talked about boundaries earlier on. And in the context of this example or this case study, was an upcoming event management that doesn't have any type of traction, right? So the idea of free service is, helping you, is more for you really than for the person. It's more about building your portfolio, right? But in a situation where you've been in business for a long time and, there's a lead that keeps stringing you. H&Is, they love stringing people. They just like that, you're chasing them and all of that. If it's not worth your time, you have to draw that boundary for yourself. And sometimes, in dealing with people, they may not come through for you in the way you were thinking they would come through. There may be a value, there may be an introduction you can get from him or the person. So not every H&I you're dealing with is your audience, right? So if you're able to extract value, whatever that value means to you, if that value means, the H&I connecting you with somebody that you could potentially close, or there's a service that you can get and you have a leverage to get that service because you've been given a service. Do you understand? So you just have to expand your mind in how you deal with people and manage your expectations as well. Because it could be someone that is in your network and is useful to you, maybe is a mentor, and because I'm sure it's someone you have a very good relationship with, for the person to keep asking for these favors, right? So if that, that relationship doesn't translate into him doing business, right? Don't take it personally, but just draw the line and say, oh, sir, I'm sorry, but I'm unable to, offer this service at this time.